It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly on KCMO Talk Radio.
Now on 95.7 FM. All right, the good from the weekend. I had the opportunity on Friday to MC the Missouri GOP convention. It was a multi-day event. I was there on Friday. And on Friday, Josh Hawley gave the keynote, did a great job. But they honored Blaine Luetkemeyer. Blaine Luetkemeyer is retiring, no relation to State Senator Tony Luetkemeyer up north. And, it's a mid-Missouri district that goes east. So we've actually never talked to Blaine Luetkemeyer on this show because he doesn't represent a portion of this listening audience. So I didn't really know him, and I'd never met him before Friday. But I will say, the guy gets up there after they put together a nice video montage of members of Congress kind of wishing him well in retirement. And he gets up there and he goes, I've done what I feel I could do for the last 15, 16 years he's been in Congress representing mid-Missouri. I'm 72 years old. I got 3 kids. I got 7 grandkids. It's time for me to basically go home. And he starts tearing up. And I'm like, this is so admirable. I don't know how the guy voted on every issue. That's not the point. I don't really care. But for a guy to look himself in the mirror, or a gal, but a guy in this case to look himself in the mirror and say, I'm 72. Maybe you feel like you got a good 8 to 10 years before, you're playing with house money. And to say, you know what, I'm done. It's time for someone else to do this. I don't want my final golden years to be spent flying to Washington, D.C. to do very little, sadly, because that's what the job has become. And yell at people for social media clicks. I'm going to go home. I'm going to enjoy my children and my grandchildren and sail off into the sunset. And he started choking up as he was talking about this. And I said, imagine if more of these elder statesmen, to put it politely, since I'm in a good mood, on a President's Day Monday felt the same. People running for president, people running for Senate, all of them. Imagine if they just came to the obvious conclusion in their early 70s, like, it's time for someone else to do this. Instead, at 72, for most of them, it's like, I'm just getting ramped up here. I'm just hitting my stride at 72. What are you guys talking about? We're just getting the juices going here. The wheels are starting to turn. Let's go. No, doesn't need to be like that. So I thought that was pretty admirable. The bad from the weekend is this poor Olathe man, Denton Loudermill, father of 3 daughters, a proud Chiefs fan, who went viral on social media after the parade on Wednesday. He was the guy in the red jumpsuit. You probably have seen his photo. Red hoodie, red sweatpants. He's sitting handcuffed in a photo that's been seen worldwide. There were those who insinuated that he was an illegal immigrant because that's what social media told them. That's what random accounts on social media insisted. And there are people in the Missouri delegation who bought it. In fact, you had members of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, and in fact, the official account for the Missouri Freedom Caucus tweeting, "Close our borders, he's an illegal," allegedly, because a random Twitter account said so. I like a lot of what the Missouri Freedom Caucus stands for, but they should fire their social media director yesterday. Now this Olathe man wants to clear his name, understandably so, after photos of him went viral. And by the way, this poor guy who was being called an illegal immigrant by complete morons, they are no better than the grifters using this tragedy for their gun control. They're one and the same. It's absolutely gross. That was the bad out of the weekend. The ugly out of the weekend. Terrible tragedy up in Minnesota. 2 Minnesota police officers and a paramedic were shot dead during an hours-long standoff with a man who barricaded himself inside his home with his family, according to officials. Their names, Matthew Rouge, Paul Elmstrand, and 40-year-old paramedic and firefighter Adam Finseth, were gunned down while trying to rescue a family from a house in Burnsville, 15 miles south of Minneapolis, early on Sunday morning. And this was all rolling out and announced yesterday by media. It is a tragedy. It is a reminder of these men and women putting their lives on the line for us every single day. And this is just the latest example of a tragedy involving our law enforcement. By the way, our Back the Blue tour goes to Olathe this Friday. We're looking forward to that here on KCMO Talk Radio.